Yo, what is going on, guys? This is your boy TrevCL, and today we are here with TBU Season 5, Week 4. So today we play Payton, also known as Sinister Sableye, Baby Eye, Sin. He goes SS. He goes by a lot of names. So last week we picked up a 4-0 win against RTK and his Portland Timbers. Scolopede did a lot of work. Kieran Black was a failure, and I don't know how to speed creep for +2 speed. Apparently, I am really bad. So yeah, that kind of sucked. So looking at Sin's team over here, he brought Jirachi, Lipard, Hitmontop, Mamoswine, Rotom Wash, and the Salazzle, whereas that means that he didn't bring like stuff like Salamence. He had Salamence, he had Regirock, he had Z per Ugly. He had one other thing that wasn't on his bench that I can't quite remember at this moment. But the Salamence was the most surprising thing. Was honestly expecting like Salamence over Lipard, and that was probably the team I was expecting to see. So not the worst thing. But looking at my team, I obviously will have my team in the description below, like I always do. But just a quick rundown of my team. I have a 3 attacks, which is Ice Beam, Flash Cannon, and Earth Power. Groundium Z with Roost, so Roost 3 attacks, Bulky Kyurem, enough speed, outspeed, base 100, Scarfers at +2 with the BP, because obviously I bring BP Scolopede like every week it seems now. But moving on, we have a Fizdef, Rocky Helmet, Blastoise, Scald, Roar, Rapid Spin, and a little Aqua Jet. Next, we have a Fizdef, Paloswine, Ice Shard, Earthquake, Stealth Rocks, and I believe Toxic. I haven't looked at the team in a little while, but I'm pretty sure it was Toxic. I guess you'll know because it'll be in the description below. Next, we have a Life Orb Gren. It's actually modest because I did not fear speed creeping for the per Ugly, because that's just kind of dumb. But yeah. It's Water Shuriken, Hydro Pump, Ice Beam, and Dark Pulse. So finally bringing Gren, finally bringing Piloswine, and finally bringing Simisear. This is actually the debut for 3 of my Pokemon. I just realized that. But yeah, next we have a Earthquake, Spikes, Toxic, and what was my other move? I can't remember. Earthquake, Spikes, Toxic. Wow, I really can't remember my other. It's actually funny because this is in the first time I recorded this. This is my second time recording because I didn't. There was a lot of uhs in my first recording, so I was like, nah. And in all fairness, there could be more uhs here. It's just like right there. But I forgot Toxic. That I had Toxic, and it took me like a minute to remember. So now I got to remember Earthquake, Spike. Oh, Baton Pass. I'm dumb. Of course, I have BP. Baton Pass was the move. Thank you for sticking with my idiotness, which isn't even a word, probably. I don't think it might be. But moving on. Next, we have a Nasty Plot 3 attacks Simisear, Fire Blast, Solar Beam, Power Herb, Solar Beam, and HP Ice, because that is really good against his team. But I've rambled on enough. Let's get right into the game. So I thought that Kieran Black would be my best lead because look at his team. Jirachi and the... there was one other thing that he could have led that would have deterred me. The Hitmontop. So Jirachi and Hitmontop were the main deterrents of a Kieran Black lead. Everything else just straight up lost to Kieran Black, I felt. So I'm just going to lead off with the monster. So turn 1. I don't know whether he's Scarfed. I don't know what he is. I don't want to take damage on my Kieran because it's very important to Baton Pass speed until later. And even though I have Roost, I want to try to keep it as healthy as possible. So I'm going to go into my Blastoise, which is Rocky Helmet. So that's just a free 17% on Jirachi. Unfortunately, he doesn't go for Iron Head. He goes for the U-turn. So that means he gets Switch Initiative, which is a little bit unfortunate. And he goes straight into Rotom. So I'm going to go into my Kyurem, expecting possibly a Will-O-Wisp or an Electric move. And he does go for the Electric move, which turns out to be Volt Switch. I actually do completely wall Rotom because, unless he's Toxic, because Will-O-Wisp, I'm special. Trick, I'm Z move, and I resist every single move, stab move. Not resist, but I eat up any single stab or coverage move Rotom could get. So I guess foul play, but again, I'm special with 0 IVs in attack. So this time he went back into Jirachi, as now he's actually going to make a double, predicting, I guess, my Blastoise switching again, possibly. So he's going to fire off a Toxic, and the reason why he outspeeds me is because I am relaxed, just because I have Aqua Jet. So yeah, that's why I'm relaxed, as I fire off a Scald, hoping to get a burn, and no dice, no burn. So yeah, that's a little bit unfortunate. Also, that Scald did a lot. I'm now looking at that. That Scald did a lot more than I remember it doing when I had the battle. So that was weird. But yeah, it does do a good chunk to that Hitmontop. So I'm just going to, I believe, switch out into my Scolipede, because I was Rocky Helmet. So if he went for a fighting move, I could take it really well and then, you know, get up a free spike. So he actually went into Rotom, expecting another Scald. He's going to go for a Volt Switch here. He's going to get a crit, and this crit kind of matters, but at the same time really doesn't in the long run, because, and I'll explain why, because I'm actually going to get a little bit of revenge here, which could honestly maybe have been even bigger than the crit against me, because I'm going to go for the Earthquake, and I'm going to almost kill this thing. I'm like, wow, I mean, I know it's Scarfrachi probably, but like, why is it doing so much damage? And that is because I get a crit, and I kill it between the crit and the Rocky Helmet damage. So, Scolipede gets its kill, so that's cool. But let me just go over that crit real quick. So the crit obviously sucked because the Jirachi died to the Rocky Helmet. However, Jirachi would have been probably nothing more than sack fodder anyway, or yeah, death fodder, just because without the crit I would have done about 46. So he would have been at about, I believe, what? Without the crit he would have been at about 25%, and then after Rocky Helmet damage he would still die to a spike, which means he would either have to pressure his Hitmontop to spin just so his Jirachi could potentially get one more hit off, and you know, keep in mind I have 2 Rocky Helmet Mons, or his Jirachi would just be death fodder, which again, in all fairness, death fodder is pretty valuable against my team. But like, yeah, so the crit did matter in a sense, but I don't think it changed the outcome of the game like at all. Like, I don't think it's a major thing. So right here, I'm going to baton pass into my Kyurem. This is finally time to actually pass speed into this thing correctly for the first time. I actually do outspeed base 100 Scarfers, even though it doesn't matter because he didn't breed immense and Jirachi's dead. So he's going to T-Bolt, as that does nothing, and no para. I was really afraid of him parrying me, and right here I decide, like, there's no reason to really keep the Earth Power around. I guess, like, I could have Earth Powered the Rotom, done a really good amount of damage, and then, like, possibly, like, later in the game, like, fired off the Z Earth Power against the Hitmontop to do quite a bit more damage than the Ice Beam would have done. But, like, at the same time, I just wanted to get, like, I also thought he might switch into the Hitmontop right away. He actually did not remember about Terravolt, and so that's why he was actually kind of confused about why that hit. So maybe that's why he didn't go into Hitmontop. So obviously he learned that, he remembered like soon after that, oh yeah, Terravolt. So yeah, and he goes for the revenge here. Interesting move. I guess it works because he does want to get the defense drops, but I get the Rocky Helmet damage, and I'm actually going to fire off a Earthquake here, because the more damage I get on this thing, the more potentially I can win with Kyurem. And here's where the crit with the Volt Switch is going to come into play, because now I'm in range of another Bullet Punch, whereas if it wasn't for that Volt Switch crit, I could actually potentially just win with Kyurem here. I get another crit with EQ, because, you know, it's funny, because he Sin crit me with 2 Volt Switches from his Rotom, and I crit him with 2 Earthquakes from my Scolipede. So, and by the way, I'm not complaining at all about the Volt Switch crit, because again, I kind of, even though it's debatable which one mattered more in the game, like, I crit his Jirachi still, which really sucked. It meant he didn't have death fodder against my team, which, like, right here, having a Jirachi to sack off, pretty valuable thing to have, because he has his switch into this is Salazzle, and that's not really the Pokemon you want to be switching in to a Simisear, like at all. So I'm gonna go for the Fire Blast. It's gonna put him in the yellow. I believe it's like a roll. Looking at like what I got, I'm not like exactly sure what the roll is, but it doesn't matter because he overpredicts. I know I could live anything bizarre, Bar Z move or Spec Sludge Wave. Maybe not like a Life Orb Sludge Wave. I think that might have been a roll, but he overpredicts, goes for Fire Blast, puts me in Blaze range, and then the Fire Blast is a guaranteed OHKO, which is really good. So right here he's going to go into his Life Part, and I'm like, oh, I'll just go into Kyurem. Kyurem can eat up anything this Life Part wants to go for, as he actually is going to reveal to be a Life Orb Life Part, and this knockoff is going to do many owls, very many owls. So yeah, it does about 66, and I'm actually fearing the Play Rough here, so I'm going to go into my Donphan expecting Play Rough, but he's actually going to reveal that he probably doesn't have the Play Rough with these next series of plays, so he goes for the Gunk Shot. If he had Play Rough, not only would he have gone for it, the reason why I don't think he has Play Rough is because, one, he probably would have gone for it there, and two, he reveals U-Turn this next turn against my Piloswine, and like, unless he didn't, that means he would either not have Sucker Punch, or he would not have potentially a support move like T-Wave or Encore, and I just don't see him putting Play Rough over those two options, as well as the fact he didn't click it against my Kyurem when like it would have killed, whereas Gunk Shot might have probably not even killed, and also could miss. So yeah, definitely probably didn't have Play Rough is my assumption. He might have just been Sucker. Honestly, he probably was Sucker. But I killed the Hitmontopsack, and my Piloswine can easily take an Earthquake or even a Superpower from this Mamoswine from this range, because Piloswine is fat. I mean, I'm max defense impish. That gives me like well over 200 defense at level 50. Like, I am very fat. As you can see, this Earthquake doesn't even do half of my remaining health. Like, that did what, 54 damage? Like, that would barely be a 4-hit KO on my Piloswine. That's pretty incredible. Piloswine is a fat Pokemon. So right here, I make a bit of a what's the word? I make a bit of an oversight. Not really an oversight, because honestly, I couldn't have preserved the 6-0 at this point. But I go into Gren thinking that I can take a hit pretty well. Not pretty well, but I thought I could take a hit well enough to like avoid Life Orb damage, dying to Life Orb damage, and I was actually 2 HP away. I'm not sure what the roll was on that, but I might have been able to potentially live a Life Orb hit after this. I was 2 HP away from doing so. I don't know if he got like a high roll, min roll. It might have not even been a roll, yada yada. But what I could have done there is, if I had lived the Life Orb hit, I could go into Blastoise, get Rocky Helmet, Spike, and Life Orb damage on this Life Part, and put it in range of, probably, it would definitely been, because like if you look at the damage here, he would definitely would have been in range, because I would have also been in Torrent if you count the poison damage as well. It would have definitely put me in Torrent range. So I definitely think it would have been an Aqua Jet range to finish off the game. So I could have gotten a 6-0 had I, had enough HP to live that, I can't speak. Yeah, live that Earthquake plus Life Orb Recoil. But, it's not the worst thing in the world, because I still got a 5-0, and this game was a lot better than the score indicated. Like, it obviously was a 5-0, but, like, over half, all 5 of my Pokemon were either almost dead or at least below half. Like, Piloswine was almost dead. Kyurem Black was below half. Blastoise ended below half. Scolipede was, like, on death's door. Like, Simisear was at about a quarter health. So, definitely was a closer game than the score indicated. Peyton played a pretty good game. There was a couple mistakes, like letting his Jirachi take the Earthquake in the first place. He probably should have gone into, or maybe he should have even like just Thunderbolted my Scolipede instead of Volt Switching, or Hydroed if he had it, because Thunderbolt plus Hydro probably would have been able to 2-hit KO my Scolipede. In fact, I'm like 100% sure, because a crit Volt Switch is about as strong. Actually, maybe not, because the crit volt switch is about a little less powerful than Hydro, so maybe Thunderbolt plus Hydro would have been enough to kill. Not really sure. But that was about the only misplay I really think he made. I think every other play, he overpredicted on the Semi-Seer, which in all fairness, he didn't know that I literally didn't care about Semi-Seer. Like, I just brought it, so now I don't have to bring it the rest of the season if I don't need to. So that's cool. So he didn't really, like, he might have just thought that Semi-Seer was a pretty decent win con, which honestly, like, Semi-Seer had an incredible matchup. Like, it did, like, body a lot of his team, so it actually did outspeed his entire team, unless that was Scarf Mamo and outside of the Salazzle, and if he hadn't brought Scarf Jirachi, he would have outsped that too, because I was timid max speed. And had he brought the Mence, like, I did have HP Ice on it, and that would kill a Mence as long as it wasn't Yachi or, like, super fat. So, yes, Semi-Seer had a really good matchup. I almost brought Z Sunny's Day, which would have actually, I think that would have just won. Yeah, Z Sunny's Day Semi-Seer would have actually just won. But I was like, Z Groundium Z Kyurem is, like, really good. So I don't regret that choice at all. But definitely GG to Sin. He played overall a pretty good game. And like I said, the score does not indicate how close this game was. I've actually, like, I'm 3-0 plus 13 in my wins this season. And I believe out of those 13 mons that have been remaining, like, at least there's got to be double-digit mons that were below half, like half or lower in HP. So, like, these have been some pretty close, big differential wins. So it's not just this game. It's been pretty much every game. So, like I said, final GG to Sin. We move on to 3-1 plus 11, which is really good. I also have something to say that I am making a free agent swap, because free agent swaps are halfway through the season for TBU. So we are at that halfway point. I'm not going to spoil what it is. You'll find out next week. And all I can say is, man, my team, I didn't think my team could get scarier, but damn, it did get scarier. But I don't really have anything else to say, so make sure you leave a like if you enjoyed. Make sure you sub if you also enjoyed this content, as well as any other content on my channel. This has been your boy TrevCL, and I'm signing out. Peace, guys.